Hello, everybody. Tarek37 here. Welcome back to me attempting to do solo roleplay with Star Wars Fantasy Flight Games Edition. Well, now Edge Studios being the one that's publishing it. Um, with Mythic GM Emulator 2nd Edition on Foundry Virtual Tabletop. Not sponsored by anybody, by the way. Um, I'm not ready to start just yet, but I thought it would be a good idea to actually explain my character a bit before I actually run. That way, you're not just like all you know at the moment is that he's a hut named Bwattu Dreth. You don't know anything else about him. So, the basic concept I had in mind for this character was in a lot of Star Wars Legends, there aren't a lot of Hut Force users, and all the ones that I know about went dark. There was one Jedi Hut who went dark, and there was another Hut Force user who just was a Dark Force user. Um, so I wanted to make a Jedi Hut, one that would stay a Jedi, would not go dark, and just make things a lot. Just kind of be a heroic Hut. Um, Hopefully with a lightsaber at some point, assuming he lives that long. My idea for his backstory um, was that he was part of a minor Hut clan, the Dreth clan, and he's he's young by Hut standards, but Huts can live for a very, very, very long time. He is an adult, but has still been kind of living under his family's thumb. Something that kind of set him apart from other Huts was empathy. The Huts, for the most part, I think, they're never really taught empathy. They never really get a chance to, so they kind of really only care about their family, and even then, I think there's a lot of infighting within families for power and everything. So, not not great. Um, However, the Force works in mysterious ways. In a lot of Legends books, and honestly, this probably would work even in canon. People with the ability to use the Force don't necessarily are always using it. They are just not conscious about it, if that makes sense. In Legends, there are a lot of cases of one thing when Luke in the Jedi Academy trilogy was looking for Jedi. One of the things that he would tell Lando Calrissian and Wedge Antilles when they were helping him was basically like, I want you to find one sign of a Force user is incredible luck because kind of unconsciously you're using the Force to, for example, know when danger is about to happen. You know, the whole I've got a bad feeling about this. That's a thing that someone who's strong in the Force can have. They can just have a bad feeling and so avoid danger or at least be ready for it. Um, so that was kind of Bwattu's thing, except his more manifested in empathy. That's why he has over here he has the sense power and already the sense thoughts uh, upgrade to the base sense power is he while growing up was able to feel the pain that people were going through within the family, um, and it really affected him. So when he's now at a point where he can escape, and that's where we're going to be starting with him trying to escape, but uh, as usual, there is a complication. Um, so that is kind of the base idea I have for him. Um, let's go over the more mechanical stuff. So he's a Hut. Your species in Star Wars determines your starting attributes. So you see, he starts with 3 in brawn, 1 in agility, 2 in intellect, 2 in cunning, 3 in willpower, and 2 in presence. He starts with 13 wounds and 11 strain. 13 plus brawn, so 16, and 11 plus willpower, so 14. But he also has a talent called Grit, which pumps it up to 15. Um, on top of that, hold on. Uh, Huts may begin the game with one free rank in coercion, but a hut can never spend more than one maneuver moving per turn. So, you know, the huts are being a slug species, they do not move very quickly. There is an item introduced in the Lords of Nalhutta supplement that I don't know how in the hell I'm going to get a hold of it, especially once I leave hut space, if assuming I do. Um, but it is like hut battle armor because at least in Legends, the huts used to be warlords. They used to invade planets, to have like ritual duels for power. They were conquerors. And then there was a series of cataclysms that resulted in the destruction of their homeworld, I believe called Varl. See if I can find it on the map. Varl, I don't know exactly where it is, but that was their homeworld, their original homeworld. Varl got destroyed, and after that, they had a huge philosophical change where they decided that, you know what, this whole um, fight. Oh, here it is, right here. This whole like outward fighting, explicit fighting between us. We're better than that. We're better than that. Let's not do this anymore. And so that's why they became gangsters instead. No more like outward like wars, more just, you know, conniving. They have like a council of huts that kind of run things, and it's determined by like the oldest clans, the ones who can trace their lineage all the way back to Varl. Um, Bwattu Dreth is not part of a clan that came from Varl. He's not one like he doesn't have that much his family does not have nearly that much influence. Um, you also have a starting XP equal to your that is determined by your species. I forget what it is for the huts, but it's a fairly small number because they start off with 3 in brawn, 3 in willpower, which looks like I bumped that up. Actually, my strength should probably be at. I'll leave it because sometimes the auto calculations don't work quite the way they should for these sheets in Foundry. Um, but I chose the consular career. So the consular career is one of the careers added in the Force and Destiny core rulebook. That core rulebook is specifically for making Force user characters. Not necessarily Jedi, but they're all like inspired by Jedi consulars and Jedi shadows, like all that stuff. So get 6 career skills from being a consular, and also starts with a Force rating of 1. He gets a free rank in 3 of these skills. So I'm not sure which ones I chose, but I imagine one was discipline. Um, did I choose knowledge? I probably chose knowledge lore. And probably negotiation or cool. Um, yeah, that's kind of it for the consular career. But each career has 6 specializations. 3 come in the core book, and 3 come in supplementary material specifically for that career. Sage, I believe, is from the core book. Yes, it is. Um, so this one has astrogation, charm, cool, and knowledge lore. So I believe, yeah, I put a point in charm, probably one thing in cool. Again, it's kind of, I don't remember entirely where. But as you can see here, I also picked one. I picked the grit talent, and I picked the kill with kindness talent, which removes a setback per rank of kill with kindness from all charm and leadership checks, as represented here. So mechanically, that means if something would add, say, a setback die to a charm check I make, like let's say I'm a slimy hut, I'm talking to, you know, a person who doesn't have a good opinion of huts, that I might start off with a setback, but because of that talent, I remove that setback die and roll basically normally. Um, let's see. So Nobody's Fool, I think that also comes from being a hut. I think Nobody's Fool is one of the one of the talents, I thought. Hmm. I don't know. I'll have to re-look that up and double check because there's two talents. I think these are two talents that are like automatically given to huts, but I'm not 100% sure if that was official or unofficial material. So I'm gonna have to go back and check that. But the enduring one gain +1 soak value. I wouldn't mind leaving that because that just makes it even like that feels like an unfair advantage. I'm already having heavy clothing. These are things that I bought with the. Every character starts off with 500 credits. So bought the ancient sword, bought heavy clothing, bought some stim packs, and bought a handheld comlink because I figured that would be helpful. Talents grit and kill with kindness. I also had to spend XP to get the sense power. So quick rundown of how force using the force works. You roll a number of dice equal to your force rating, which for me is a 1. So I would roll 1 force die. So let me just go here. I'll just roll 1 force die. Oh wow, I got really lucky with that. Damn it. I should have saved that. Damn it. Oh god. Oh, dang it. Okay. I'll stop whining. So, um, I can just use those 2 pips to do. I can sense all living things within short range, and if I was like engaged with, or if I was engaged with one target, I could sense their current emotional state with 1 pip, and with an additional pip, sense the current actual thoughts of like what are they thinking at this point. Um, so that's really cool. As you like go down the force power tree, you start unlocking more and more abilities. Some involve committing a force die, which would mean I can't roll that force die, but I would get like a passive buff. Like I'd get a passive defense, or a passive offense boost. Like I think it's like upgrade the difficulty of all attacks targeting me, or upgrade my attacks targeting someone else. Um, so those are some cool things. And as I like go down the tree, I can get an additional force die, and then I can roll all those and get more and more. However, you might notice these are the light pips, and I said I could basically just use those. Well, uh, I could have rolled. Let me roll again. I swear to God, if I roll another light, I'm gonna be. All right, there we go. I rolled a dark pip. I can't use that immediately. I would have to take 1 strain, like so. I'd have to flip a light point. You only have to flip 1 light point, but you have to. If there were more dark pips, I'd have to spend more strain. And basically, then I can use it. I would also gain conflict, I believe, and then that can like drag my morality score up and down to the point where I could end up being a very I could end up going to the dark side. And when you go to the dark side, well, one, you can start using the dark pips without having to spend strain or flip force points. I'm going to flip this back real quick before I forget, and just delete these. Um, so basically, that is one of the ways to get dark side points, and it's costly it's costly, but you're more likely to get dark side pips on the force die. I think I mentioned that in the first video. But they're more likely to only be 1 pip, whereas you have less chance of rolling light side, but if you do roll light side, you have a better chance of getting 2 pips instead of only 1. Again, I like that. Let's see. I've described him as thin. He's 91 years old. Again, that's old for a human. That's young for a hut. Green eyes, no hair, height 1.6 meters. I don't know the proper height for a hut, and I decided he would be thin because I remember, I think in one of the which book was? Oh, I think it was Darksaber. not to be confused with the dark saber that wielded by the Mandalorians. The dark saber was a book about essentially a yet another Death Star called the Dark Saber, um, built actually by a Hutt to basically he wanted to use it as a extortion weapon. Um, but I think in that book, Leia was like in diplomatic talks with the Hutts and kind of like learned a bit more about Hutt culture, and it was basically very much a thing where the it was like a sign like how girthy you were was a sign of how rich you were because you could afford to eat like a ton of food, and whereas like the thin huts kind of had to get by on scraps. I don't know if that's still canon. Again, like there are some good things in Star Wars books, not a lot of great stuff. There's good and bad stuff. A lot of good concepts in my opinion, but sometimes executions are not the best. Um, yeah, his ancient sword is family heirloom. Okay, so you can see down here he has obligation, no duty, and a morality of 50. Over here, his obligation is betrayal. This is his betrayal of his family. He stole a sword and is basically going off and abandoning his family. Not a great thing to do. Admittedly, his family's like awful, but you know. And I did roll randomly for these. If like when I say roll randomly, sometimes I'll roll and it's like that doesn't make sense for the character, and I'll re-roll again. That's the beauty of tables, is that if you don't like a result you got, you can just roll again and say, you know what, that one doesn't make sense for the character I'm building, or that doesn't make sense in the current context. So you can re-roll again. So chose betrayal. I think I bumped up. No, actually, I don't think I did. I didn't bump up his obligation. That's the thing during character creation. You can bump up obligation, and basically that increases the chance of a random event happening that's connected to your obligation. But you get like extra XP. I don't think I did that. Not to my recollection, anyway. Also, his emotional strength and his emotional weakness. So, his emotional strength is sympathy. He genuinely feels for others, sharing their pain and so acting to reduce it, showing mercy and compassion. Unfortunately, that every strength comes with a weakness. So in this one, his weakness is desperation. He can care so much for the plight of others that emotions can cloud his mind. When surrounded by suffering, he can forget to stay alert, lose the will to act, or behave impulsively. Which I think is a really cool emotional weakness to have. It's like you feel a lot of sympathy, but sometimes you feel too much sympathy and end up doing something crazy and something crazy to just do something. Or like you lose focus and so you get like someone could get the drop on him. Or he can be demoralized by how much suffering he's trying to fix and just can't. So I think that's an interesting thing. And I'm hoping, obviously, I'm hoping that as time goes on, he's going to learn more about the Force. I'm really hoping he gets a lightsaber, because I love lightsabers. This ancient sword is actually technically a lightsaber weapon. You use lightsaber as a skill. Um, Also, interestingly enough, one of the reasons that I chose this career is because one of the specializations, I believe, is where. Does it have a list of the specializations? It does not. It does not. Okay, but every career in Force and Destiny has a specific specialization that is lightsaber, or it will like teach you a lightsaber form. And most lightsaber forms will have a talent that lets you swap the associated characteristic. And I think the one for Consular will be based off of willpower. So it's good. I set willpower high, one, because I like characters with high willpower, and two, because it'll make sense, because then this lightsaber goes from a base 3, which is actually pretty good. But that's basically just on brawn, and then and then have it being based on willpower will be so much fun. Um, and I like that concept. I don't like that it's locked behind a different specialization. I don't like that. I don't like that, let's say I wanted this guy to be focusing more on cunning, but Consular Sage felt more right to me. I'd have to pay extra XP to unlock that specialization because it's out of career. Um, I'll get more into this when I start getting XP and leveling up, and not leveling up, but spending it. But oh shoot, I forgot to add his motivation. Uh, mm, you know what? We can come up with that. We can just come up with that. His motivation. I would say his motivation at this point is he wants to learn why he's different from the other huts. Why he can empathize so easily with others. That's his primary motivation. Is like he knows he's different. He knows that huts in general don't empathize too easily. So he's wondering why. Why am I able to do this? Um, yeah, that's his primary motivation. He needs to get out of hut space, but he's hoping when he gets out of hut space he can find signs of, how. Like signs of what makes him different and how to have it not be as extreme as it can be for him. Something else I forgot is the Mythic GM emulator has two things. It has a character list and a threads list. Characters aren't necessarily people. They can be places like Nar Shaddaa. They can be organizations. Threads are basically story, like story threads. Like, for instance, escape from family or learn of his abilities. Those are threads that he's following. Maybe he'll find more along the way. Maybe he'll find out, maybe he'll maybe his learn about his abilities will go away but be replaced with learn from a Jedi Master. Or, maybe a new one will be he not only has to escape from his family, he has to escape from Inquisitors. Or, he needs to defeat an enemy of some kind. Like, it. And threads are not randomly determined, they just have to be added somewhat naturally. We've already got two threads, two characters, or is on the character list. That's good enough. And yeah, I think that's everything. Hopefully next time I'll actually be able to start this, and hopefully we can all enjoy the story, and hopefully Bwattu won't die in the first session. That'd be kind of funny, but also kind of sad. All right, thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day. Bye.